Okay, so I've got some matches here against Bossnex5. These were last week before the new season update, so I've been pretty lazy with getting these out here, but I told him I'd make a video on these. But Bossnex5 is always a good matchup on ladder. We're both commander level 10, around the same card levels, so it always makes for a good match. So in this first match, I made a pretty big misplay that cost me the match, and I'm going to point that out whenever that is. But I think, especially with Discombobulator Ray being at 4 dough now, even though it's only 1 dough, if you're playing these heavier decks, like I've got Killbot, Disc Ray in here, and Sheriff Justice, which is also 4 dough. I mean, it isn't like super heavy, but it's heavy enough to where if you make a misplay, like I did, and he's running Mammoth, which is just a huge investment for him, but it's also huge potential, because if he gets to tower, he's doing a ton of damage, and he's able to freeze units and everything like that. It really costs you games. So you can't, if you're playing against Mammoth, you can't afford to mess up like I did. So he's doing a little split lane thing here and trying to cap my barrel. I thought we were friends, man. So I just try to push him back a little bit because he already has, I mean, what's that, 20% left on that right rage tower? And my Sheriff Justice just hanging out there. So that play right there, when I played Sheriff Justice, I should have not played Sheriff Justice. That was a huge misplay. I'm going to rewind this a little bit. So I've got Disc Ray in hand, but I play Sheriff Justice to try to bait him in. He ends up just standing there, does nothing for me. But then I don't have enough dough for the Mammoth. So she gets a charge on tower, and that's game over. I mean, he can basically just hang out in his base and play defense at this point, because he's not going to come out. I mean, I'm playing Killbot and Sheriff Justice, which are both, you know, commander kill cards. And if they're just going to hang out in their base, there's not too much that you can do. And this play coming up right here is actually really good by him too. I started to use this more. So since it's cursed, when you use Disc Ray, the Killbot still takes damage from the Witch Curse when it's in that blob form. So keep that in mind if you're going up against somebody that's playing Killbot and you're playing Witch. And that is GG. All right, if you notice on this deck right here, all I did was swap out Teleporter for Piranhas. So this is an even heavier deck. I'm taking out a 1 dough card for another 4 dough card. So this, you have to play this even slower. But I don't know. I don't even know if I would recommend playing this deck. I was just kind of experimenting with Killbot stuff towards the end of the season. But a lot of these decks, I mean, you don't even need to really like have a perfect deck composition or anything. Most things in this game is really just positioning and playing units when you need to play them. You don't need to, if you're spamming things when you don't need to spam them, people are going to take advantage of that. Just like when I played that Sheriff Justice, he knew in that last match that he could just throw Mammoth down because now I have no dough left. So I get some pretty good value from these Piranhas here because he doesn't have anything like too low on dough to play Mr. Boom there. So I get his tower down to half. So now I start getting my Killbots going so that I can get it to stage 3. This is kind of scary here. I'm low on health. He's got Major Fire left lane, Mr. Boom right lane. It's not a good situation to be in. So I'm just trying to kite around this witch until I have enough dough to play a card. I don't think he meant to play Giggles there because there's really no reason unless he just didn't want to cycle anything else because I have no air units, obviously. And also right here with that Mr. Boom, I was just kind of using Killbot since it takes no damage to soak the damage of Mr. Boom, and then I could just walk on the right side and shoot it without taking any damage. See, I feel like that Sheriff Justice should have pulled there. I mean, a lot of people have been complaining that Sheriff Justice is pretty broken right now, which, I mean, it kind of is. I played a decent amount with it, and it does seem like it just doesn't pull half the time. I stopped using it personally. I think this is where I get the win. No, maybe it's one more Killbot. Yeah, so I end up pushing this Killbot up as a meat shield for that Mr. Boom, and then he takes out the Mr. Boom, or almost does. How did I win this? Oh, with Sheriff Justice. He actually pulled that time. But GG's. Always a fun match against Bossnex5. Plus, I think right now he is like #1 in the world, or close to #1 with the new season.